My name's Henry Sutton, founder of the Gulf Data Center Association. My background is as a consultant in the data center field, and we've been working on data center projects the last 5 years out in the GCC, and then prior to that in the UK and across Europe.
Could you give us a little bit of background about why the association came about? What are you guys doing? What are your objectives?
We've been working in the GCC for a few years, and whilst the consultancy was doing very well by itself, it was in a situation where we realized the region was being throttled by the amount of new inward investment that's coming through to it, the fact that large end users and large international operators weren't quite sure how to navigate around the region. We realized that the best way to unlock the region was to create a platform that invoked a lot of transparency in the industry, but also focused on items such as giving free information, advice on how to enter the region, how to enter each country. We're really trying to be in a position to educate that there's a lot going on, and we want people to see it's an easy place to invest. There's lots of good opportunity. It's a good place to be for customers, good place to be for operators, and a great place to be for the ecosystem.
Is there a particular area in the Gulf that is maybe booming over others?
I think that if we look at the 6 Gulf countries that we focus on at the moment, I think what we're seeing is a very different dynamic in each business culture for each market. Saudi Arabia is making great strides at the moment, making a lot of noise globally. It is the biggest market in terms of land mass, in terms of population. I think that's a very, very exciting place to be. So a lot of people are asking us about Saudi Arabia, but let's not forget the other Gulf states. So Oman has become a central hub for connectivity, and it's continuing to work on that very well. We're seeing a lot of great consolidation happening in the UAE, more hyperscale deals going on. You know, the UAE has been a success story for the region in terms of the amount of people living in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We're also seeing great traction in Qatar. So let's talk about the Microsoft Azure region that's recently opened. It's a market that's now competing across the region with some great opportunities. And then finally, we have Bahrain and Kuwait. Kuwait has got a lot of interest. It's probably the market that has the least amount of available supply. So people are coming through wondering how we're going to get into the Kuwait market. And with Bahrain, we've had some recent news about some new projects going on there as well. And I think that's also going to have a bigger role in what's happening across the region.
Do you see that the Gulf states are really putting a focus in this industry on sustainability?
I think that there's 2 ways to look at that. There's a hard commercial look at it, and then there's the kind of environmental social governance and corporate social responsibility side of sustainability. So if we look at the hard commercials, one of the things that we have in the Gulf is incredibly cheap power from the grid. And as a result of that, we've never had the burgeoning need to focus on renewables on day one. Whereas in other markets in Europe, for example, Asia or Africa or even North America, there has been that interest to look into alternative sources of energy from a cost perspective, let alone the benefit it is to the environment. So I think there's that to consider, that slowed down the initial rollout of sustainable options of power generation. But moving forwards, we now have the customer drive for data centers, looking at what they want to see in a data center and what they're going to choose between 2 data centers. If there's one that has renewable power and one that doesn't, they're going to focus on the one that has renewable generation. And so I think that has caused a kick in the market to go, actually, what are we going to do about sustainability? What are we going to do about renewables? And sustainability isn't just the renewable power, it's also the water usage that we have. It's also the construction methods. It's how we operate every single facet of the data center. And I think all of those questions are now starting to be asked. And the one thing I know about the Gulf is that when you start asking questions, we don't want to wait for a long time for answers. I believe that we're going to come up with those answers very, very quickly, and we're going to see that reflected in all the new projects coming to market.
Is the association working with governments on this level, like putting out a code of conduct or some kind of guidelines for this region?
We'd like to get to that point. We've created this to be a platform for the entire ecosystem and also the governments and the public sector. So I think we're in a listening mode at the moment, getting feedback from everyone to find out what's important. We've had some early immediate feedback on things like data sovereignty, for example. That's been very clear. And that's been both involving members of government, but also the private sector. And I think that listening period is probably going to go a little bit longer because there's so many different facets to cover. There's regulation, there is sustainability, there is this concern about inter-Gulf connectivity as well. So I would say kind of a neat answer to that at the moment is yes, we are absolutely speaking to everyone about it, but we have got a long way to go, I think, before we have answers. Code of conduct feels a bit further down the road.
Okay. Henry, thank you so much for your time today and sharing your thoughts. with me. And I wish you all the best with your association.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you.
Have a good day.